I invite the forum to hear the voluntary national review by India. And I now invite this forum to watch a short video, after which I invite His Excellency Arvind Panagariya, Vice Chairperson of NITI Aayog of India, to make the presentation.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The world is one family. These words describe the values of India, an ancient civilization. They imagine a world where no one is left behind, where universal peace is possible, poverty is vanquished, and hope springs eternal. Modern India, resurgent, full of aspirations, determined to eliminate poverty, pursuing Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision of Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, collective effort and inclusive growth for all. India has made giant strides in the past few years. The economy is booming, millions of jobs have been added, and the numbers of those living in poverty have been halved. India is constantly innovating to include more citizens in its relative economic prosperity. The country pioneered self-help groups that brought thousands of women into the banking system. Under Prime Minister Modi, millions more opened bank accounts. These accounts are now being used to support India's social security system, offering job guarantees, pension and insurance. India desires dignity for all citizens. The Swachh Bharat Abhiyan or Clean India mission has led to better cleanliness and construction of millions of toilets. It has made it possible for many adolescent girls in particular to stay in school. Comprehensive health services are offered through the National Health Mission. A tiered referral system connects citizens with quality health services from the grassroots up. Combating hunger is crucial. And India's public distribution system guarantees food security to 800 million Indians. The importance of women in Indian society is reflected in the way government programs prioritize their rights. Housing loans for less, issuing ration cards and cooking gas connection in women's names. Gender equality is central to India's vision for the future. 33% of seats for elected heads of the village-level self-government institutions are reserved for women. Further, India is always looking for ways to leverage the power of women by providing them with better education and skills. India's commitment to inclusive, sustainable development extends to a foreign policy decision. India, under Prime Minister Modi, has led the development of International Solar Alliance, the Mangalyaan, India's mission to Mars, the South Asia satellite, India's gift to the region, and the recent launch of 104 satellites by ISRO illustrate the nation's commitment to being a responsible global citizen.
सभी सुखी हो, सभी निरोगी हो, कल्याणकारी देखें, किसी को भी किसी प्रकार का दुख न हो।
And now I invite the forum to hear the voluntary national review. Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. All right. So you may have noticed that the film does not speak in terms of the SDGs, and some background on that very quickly. So even before the SDGs began to be negotiated, a network of national programs had existed in India. These programs already captured virtually all the goals that are now embedded in the SDGs. It's not pure coincidence India had negotiated heavily and pushed for some of these goals when the SDGs were negotiated. And therefore, what the SDGs do is what the national programs of India do. Therefore, India's approach to implementing SDGs has been in terms of the implementation of the national goals. A major advantage of this approach is that national programs have greater resonance with the people. There is also greater ownership since the programs are seen as homegrown. We have also, and that is what we have tried to capture in the film that you just saw. My presentation will touch on three areas. I'll first describe the role of the stakeholders. Next, I will discuss the progress towards the 7 SDGs we are discussing. And finally, I will conclude. The 5 sets of major stakeholders: government, civil society, business, academia, and citizens. One by one, I shall describe their role. At the national level, we have a very dynamic Speaker of the Parliament who has been deeply engaged. She has herself actually organized several forums on the SDGs. At the Niti Aayog, which I had as the Vice Chairman of the institution, Prime Minister being the Chairman of the institution, this is the implementing agency. And it is closely monitoring progress. It is also the coordinating agency. There is also at the national level, we have the Office of the Chief Statistician. We have the Chief Statistician present here, Mr. TCA Anant. So Mr. Anant actually very carefully prepares the indicators to be monitored. And he also advises us how we should go about it. He is of the firm opinion that we should rely on measurable outcome indicators and not rely on perception-based indicators that often get derived from the surveys. Second, we also have a very deep involvement of the subnational levels. These are the states of the country. As you would see in the slides, several of the states have their own separate programs. We have we have one of the representatives of the state with us in the delegation as well here from Andhra Pradesh. You would see that Assam in the northeast has a 2030 plan in the light of the SDGs. Gujarat in the west has the campaign, I am aware of SDGs, are you? Andhra Pradesh in the south has come up with the detailed agenda titled Achieving Sustainable Development Goals 2030. We also actually have had another level of consultation at the village level, panchayats as they are called, the governing bodies at the local level in the villages. There has been consultation at that level as well. I believe our Panchayati Raj secretary here is also somewhere present today with us. Other key stakeholders, civil society groups, Niti Aayog and states have worked closely with them. Corporate sector, a large number of industry associations, both at the national and subnational levels, sometimes even at the local levels, have been engaged. Our academics have been engaged. Niti Aayog runs a program called Samavesh, which actively engages with the universities and colleges in this matter. Next, I turn to the very brief discussion on the progress India has achieved in the 7 SDGs. Begin with SDG 1, which in our view is really the most important SDG for India, poverty elimination. India is of the firm belief that the key instrument for eradicating poverty is rapid growth, and we have certainly focused our efforts on that. I'm pleased to say that today India is the fastest growing major economy in the world. It is currently growing at 7.5%, and it has also grown in the last 15 years in real dollar terms at about 9% a year, and that has of course helped us in two ways. It created gainful employment for people and therefore empowered people directly, but it has also given the government ever increasing revenues to carry out the very large scale social programs, and as I go I will be describing these social programs for you. These have included things like housing for all, road connectivity for all the villages and habitations, electricity for all, employment guarantee for 100 days for one person each rural household, financial inclusion. India has expanded at the fastest pace ever anywhere in the world. The bank accounts, about 53% of Indian women independently have their own bank accounts. All this has translated, of course, also in very rapid decline in poverty. Since 1993, the poverty rate in India has been cut by more than half. SDG 2, very closely related, hunger and improving nutrition. Here, National Food Security Program has reached 800 million people who are covered for subsidized grains. 100 million children are provided every day midday meals, which are warm midday meals. Major drive is also underway to raise farm productivity and double the farmers' income. SDG 3 on health and well-being, all health indicators such as the IMR, MMR, life expectancy have shown steady improvement across all states, not only just at the national level. Institutional deliveries now cover nearly 80% of our childbirths. Below poverty line households are being progressively covered for hospitalization up to about 100,000 rupees per year. I next turn to the goal 5, SDG 5. This clearly is the key. We think this is really the most important SDG as well, along with the elimination of poverty. And so India gives special importance to this. A major program, Save the Girl Child, Educate the Girl Child, has been launched by the Prime Minister, and you saw something about that in the film. Gender gap in education is being steadily bridged. Maternity benefit program covers women for the 6 months of the delivery. And we at Niti Aayog actually have a program called Women Transforming India, where we really identify the women who have played transformational role and honor them every year. We have this year's program already has about 5,000 impeccable entries from Women Transforming India all around the country. Infrastructure, industry and innovation, that of course is an essential ingredient in growth. Roads, railways, ports, energy, all of these are seeing very, very rapid and steady progress. Make in India program launched by the Prime Minister is intended to improve the performance of the industry. Within the last 3 years, India has received about $161 billion in foreign direct investment. On innovation, my own institution, Niti Aayog, has launched a major program to change the ecosystem called the Atal Innovation Mission. And it is creating the tinkering labs in schools all around the country, and also incubation centers are being promoted by the Atal Innovation Mission. Ocean, seas and marine resources, there is a major drive in India towards blue revolution. Coastal ocean monitoring and prediction system has been put in place. There is a national oil spill disaster contingency plan, and India is also embarking on port-led development. Last one of the goals on resources, India has undertaken major tax reforms within the last 3 years. You may have heard the goods and services tax, the GST, a long-drawn negotiation across 29 states of India and across the various parties at the national level. Major reform has just been completed, and there is a direct benefit transfers to plug leakages in our social programs. The Aadhaar, about which you might know, the biometric identity given to about 1.1 billion people in the country, which has now become the basis of all our social disbursement of our social programs through the direct benefit transfer, and that has helped eliminate ghost cards, ghost beneficiaries, multiple benefits to the same set of beneficiaries, etc. And the CSR is done by the corporate sector. Of course, 2% of the profits have to be spent on social programs. Finally, I conclude, India reaffirms the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities. Developed countries have an essential obligation to provide financial assistance to developing countries and cooperate in areas like curbing illicit financial flows. India will continue to pursue the implementation of the SDG agenda through close collaboration among different levels of government and with active participation of stakeholders. Thank you very much.
I thank His Excellency Arvind Panagarija, Vice Chairperson of Niti Aayog of India, for the complete